All right, so I am going to go ahead and cover the technical sign up. I say that because I finished week 9 attendance and I thought, well, I'm just going to get this done. So in this case, the interview will be done on CodeSpace. There's several of you using CodeSpace. Some of you are using local. It's 97% the same as running local. But if you want to check out, how to set them up, you're welcome to do that. But don't worry, you don't have to set one up. I'll actually invite you into a repo that I already have, and then once the session is done, you won't be able to see it. What will happen is you can sign up anytime after you finish week 9 work, and I talked about that in attendance. And the days and times to sign up start here. Like, so you can sign up after there. And yeah, I did notice that should be 2025. I'll fix it. But in this case, the days and times to sign up start here. This is what you want to know is you can have 2 attempts at the technical interview from the start until 428. Okay, so after 428, there'll only be 1 attempt just because that ending of the semester there tends to be kind of, hopefully you don't, and I'm going to encourage you today to not wait, but some students do. So it just is not effective for time management for all of us for me to do another attempt. So if you think, and by the way, just do it early to have it out of the way. And we'll talk about what it'll cover in a minute. So I've given you a link here, and this is a view only link. And here is that schedule. Now this is, you can't actually put your name here. What will happen is you will look through this schedule at the moment, right, that you look at it, you may see times taken. So part of the reason I say is that I want you to submit 2 dates is in case somebody by the time you've come in here, because what I will do is because there's another course on my database class also doing technical interviews. So in this case, I do a first come first serve basis. So as I see students submit their 2 day and time selections, I see who submitted first and I go with that. And if 2 students submitted at the same time but had different dates, then I will say, okay, if you submitted first, you get the first one, and so on. So it's first come first serve. Now the thing I'd want you to know here is that, like, these are my office hours basically, so of course they work the best for me, but they may not work for you. And one of the reasons I want to be clear about this is I had a student last semester, after at the end of the semester, student was doing great, and I asked the student, why didn't you do the technical interviews? And they were saying, well, your schedule didn't work for mine. I said, yeah, but I gave you a workaround. Right? So the thing is, I'm going to say here is, if my office hours don't work for you, give me a day and time and I will do my best to work with your schedule and my schedule, right? So if you ask me to do one at 10 o'clock at night, that won't work. But if you ask me to do one at 6 o'clock at night, then I will say, okay, and I'll figure that out in the schedule. It won't necessarily show up here, but I'll have a way to track that. But I can only do so many of those. So that's why over time, right, that's having some planning to do this. So all I'm saying here is, like, yes, these are my office hours, right? But if they don't work for you, give me a date and time. I'll do my best to work with you. And then give me 2 dates, and that will be helpful. Now, you can come in on Zoom. You do not have to come onto campus. But if you come in on Zoom, make sure you know how to screen share on Zoom. And if you're on a Mac, there are a couple additional steps you need to take there. Students who are coming in on person, right, you can come to my office. Right? My room faces social science, BE 113. If possible, bring your laptop. But if you can, have it connected to the Wi-Fi. But if you don't, just tell me. Like, I'm going to come in, but I'm not going to bring my laptop. And all I will do there is schedule a session or schedule some time in the lab. Okay, so each session is 30 minutes, and the interview will cover topics up to that point you schedule your session. And what do I mean by that? So the sooner in here you schedule something, that will cover topics up to that point of the semester, and the more you go out, the more chances you have of seeing to code some concepts that are later, which maybe that's something that you actually want. Most students, I find, actually want to come in a little sooner so that A, it's over with, right? B, if they needed to come in again, they could, to know what that's like. It's because sometimes this is not uncommon. I've had students come in, right? They came in and they were like, I didn't know what to expect. Then they had a better idea, and then they came more prepared. Now, the thing you're probably going to ask me is, how do I prepare? And I would tell you this is what this course has been about, which is really you being able to code. Coding along is one thing, right? Actually writing code on your own, like in the code discussions and actually in the reviews and actually attendance now, these are the kinds of things you want to be able to write code. And because it's a 30-minute session, right, it's going to go quick. So you won't have a lot of time. And by the way, you can't use coding assistants. You can't use LLMs. That's not what this is for. Okay. So the sooner you get in, that's my point, the better. Okay. Rescheduling is discouraged, although I know stuff happens. And of course, reach out to me. I'm saying don't. But as I will have limited time as the semester comes to an end. Okay, so hopefully this gives you a good overview of that. I think I covered everything. Okay, so the last thing is how to prep, but there's also, I just as a general question, answer and question, because this comes up like, is it optional? Yeah, it's optional based on your grade. So, like, because it accounts for 25% of your overall grade, it definitely takes a hit if you don't do it. But if you've kept a good grade, you can actually go in and look. As a matter of fact, one of the things you can do, because all you have to do here is submit your date and time preference. But if you already know, I'm not doing that, just tell me, hey, Rio, I'm not doing it. Which, by the way, you can change your mind. That's a possibility, right? But in this case, I would put 0 in here so you would see what it would do to your grade. But again, you could change your mind just so you know what that is. But you can also do that. Remember, Canvas has that ability for you to input grades in there. What will it cover? Code and concepts covered so far in the course. That's why the farther out you go, the more chances you have of doing it. Best way to prepare is to be able to write basic code, right? Like the last couple of weeks, 7, 8, and 9, where we actually, 7, 8, maybe 6, 7, and 8. Where in attendance, I had you do some basic coding. It's probably not unlike what you're going to see. If I don't do well, I've already talked about this. Can I do it? Oh, actually, it should be technical. I used to call it a code review. Yeah, you have a max of 2, right? Just make sure you understand the dates. Again, going back here, if you scroll down, notice here on the 28th is when, and this is limited to 1 attempt per person after that date. Okay, so the other thing is this item has a due date of the 21st, and that's just because at that point, and you'll hear me talk more about the end of the semester dates and when you'll need to have signed up, but this is the last point at which you can actually do a technical interview. Okay, reach out if you have any questions. Hope this helps you understand at least how the sign up works and a general overview of what you can do to prep. All right.